Hello, everyone, and welcome to this latest book review. My name is Reverend Ed Bove, and I am broadcasting from Christ Church, located in Kennebunk, Maine, in the center of town. And I'm in my office, and it's just wonderful to be with you today. As you can imagine, July in Maine is a beautiful place to be. So many people come from different areas and enjoy the beaches. And 8 minutes from this location, there's the wonderful Kennebunk beaches that I'm able to walk on, and I'm able to sit in prayer and reflection every day. What a blessing that is for me. But we just have to be thankful for life. We have to be thankful for all the blessings that we have, even as we struggle, even as we face challenges. We have a wonderful reality just by being alive. Today I'm reviewing this book, Journeys from There to Here. It's stories of immigrant trails, triumphs, and contributions. It's written by Boston attorney Susan J Cohen with Stephen T. Taylor. And it is a book that was recommended by our bishop, Sudashana Devadar. He's retiring this year after 10 long years with us. But he recommended this book, and I would read his review. He's actually in the book, and Bishop Devadar writes, this fascinating, challenging, and stimulating book by Susan J Cohen with Stephen T. Taylor truly helps others to walk a mile in immigrants' shoes. A penetrating book with great insight and practical suggestions. This is a must-read for CEOs of corporations, religious heads, and university presidents. So he is the resident bishop of the New England Conference. So I reviewed last time a book by Isabel Wilkerson, Cast, and I related that was a very tough book to get through. It was on race, and it was on the caste system, the invisible caste system in America, and it was really tough to hear the stories. I had to sit with each story. This is a similar book. In this book, immigration lawyer Susan Cohen highlights the stories of immigrants trying to either flee from their country because of persecution, because of war, because of genocide, because of they spoke against the political regime of the time, and they face persecution and even death. So they escape, and it's a story after story of their journey through that anxiety, that stress, physically, emotionally, spiritually, socially. Losing their country of origin, if you will, and trying to find a safe place within America. And then facing the long battle of immigration status, whether they're trying to seek asylum, whether they're trying to obtain a green card to continue their work, whether they're ultimately allowed to be citizens and to be a citizen of the United States. There's such names as Gazmen Kaplini from Albania, Jamal Ali Hussein from Somaliland, Helen Kim from Southeast Asia. She was a 12-year-old girl who was a virtuosa in the violin, and you can actually look her up on YouTube and see her play. And it's her story how she came and through because of her extraordinary ability. That's a category of immigration status legally. Because of that, because of her work as a violinist, she was able to stay in America with her parents, paying Zhu from China, who his family violated the one-child rule, even though his wife was on contraceptive. It failed, and they on the third pregnancy, he had to flee the country. They were facing persecution and all sorts of horror. Miriam Ayari from North Africa, and Samuel Bull. He was from the Sudan, and he was forced into being a lost boy, a boy soldier. And the book details him escaping with many other boys that were forced into this violent horror of war, and their trek of 1,000 miles to seek asylum. This book gives a name, it gives a place, it makes the immigrant not just a word or a concept. It introduces you to real life people who are, they love their family, they love their children, they love their work. One of the great features of this book is that each chapter shows where the person is from. It's a great geography lesson. And I admit, as I look at this and I learn, okay, what were the countries around them? Where were they near? What was their world view? How did they experience life? And how do I experience life as a United States citizen, right? So it's very interesting. Susan Cohen goes into the detailed court cases, and while she lifts up immigration officers and judges who are trying to do the right thing, she also names the abuses of officials when they hold the immigration status basically over the head of the individual. In some cases, she details how if this person is deported, they could actually be killed in their home country. And it's this fight that it requires detail after detail, legal page after legal page, argument after argument to prove their case to stay in America. Often, with all of these stories, it was how the person really contributed ultimately as they became either granted asylum or granted refugee status or granted citizenship. One gentleman worked. He eventually became the principal of a middle school in the Boston area, and he turned that school around. The school was failing its students, and he turned it around, and he made it something really special where the kids didn't just survive, they thrived. And he was facing deportation because he had to leave the country, and then he almost didn't get back in. So interesting. Susan Cohen talks about how political ideologies over the past years and things have given us a sour taste in our mouth when we hear the word immigrant, and she cautions against that. Her book is really trying to put a face on these stories and on these people's lives. And if you read it, like I said, each chapter you have to stop and really process it. One woman left the country. She was working in the country. She left. She had a baby, and she was at the airport, and they took the baby, and they said, "You may be deported." Can you imagine that? Arriving to someplace with a child. The child was a U.S. citizen because they were born here. So they're going to keep the child, and you're going to be deported today. In the next couple of hours, you're going to be deported, and your infant child is going to be put into someone else's hands. So incredible stories where it really gets to your emotion. In that case, she was able to reach out to Susan Cohen, and they worked it out so she could stay and she could be reunited with her baby. But imagine the horror just of that one story from a mother's point of view. I just can't imagine. I cannot imagine that. So the book is called Journeys from There to Here by Susan Cohen. I would recommend start with the epilogue. In the epilogue, read the epilogue, then read the story, then read the epilogue again. The author has different sections, but in the epilogue, she gives us a call to action. She tells us to craft connections with immigrants. She tells us to create a venue to talk. Isn't that a great space for the church? You know, WeOn is active at the Christ Church, and we work with immigrants and we get them resources. But isn't it great to think of our church space as a space that could house a conversation around immigration? Donate time, write for change, write to your political leaders, vote for change in immigration laws, start conversations, invest in compassion. So she gives us this. And she also tells us to, there is an organization in Boston, Massachusetts. In fact, they're at 98 North Washington Street, Suite 106 in Boston. It's called the PAIR Project, and it is a group of attorneys, legal analysts, and administrators and support, workers that provide free legal advice and counsel to immigrants. So you can check that out at pairproject.org, P-A-I-R, pairproject.org, political asylum immigration representation, right? So check that out and get a copy of this book. Where do you get your books from? Often I order them through Amazon, or I pick them up at BAM in South Portland, or I get them from a library or from a friend. But it's worth the read. What does reading give us? Reading gives us an ability to expand our point of view. It gives us an ability to dialogue with an author. Some of the books we read we don't agree with, some of them we really agree with, but we have that chance to have a dialogue. Every book that I read points me to a bibliography. It points me to websites. It points me to YouTube videos. It points me in other directions to expand my understanding, my knowledge, my education. I consider this journey as a spiritual journey every time you read a book, because it is in connection and fellowship with the authors. So I thank you so much for being with me today. I wish you happy reading, and I wish and hope that this message finds you and your family safe and well. Until we talk again, talk to you soon. Thank you.